Well, I decided to make a video today. This is like the fourth try. Two of them were, they didn't have any sound, so that didn't work. And then the last couple of ones, I it just doesn't work. So what am I doing? This is for my family. This is this is it. This is for my family, okay? So there's a lot going on right now in the world, and there's a lot of confusion. There's a The Bible says to watch for the signs. When these signs come about, then the fulfillment of God's promises or prophecies about to come to, you know, come to light, come to fulfillment. Well, the signs are all around us. So what do we do? God is telling me to watch and be ready. Watch for Christ's return and be ready for his return. But also be ready in your home. Get your home uh, in order. Make sure you have enough food, water, medicine. Three books: Bible, first aid, and some sort of survival book that teaches you basic survival tactics. All right, in case there's a major meltdown of society, you don't want to be caught out in the cold. All right, you don't want to be in long lines waiting, and because you're unprepared. A wise person prepares for a rainy day. We've always done that in our family, otherwise we'd be out in the street. We've always prepared for a rainy day in this family. I have. I prepared for a rainy day. So much so I walked around with holes in my shoes and drove a jalopy. Okay, because I knew, you know what? One day a rainy day is going to come and we're going to need to stick together so that we don't wind up with homeless. So, what is this video for? Well, now it's all coming together. Okay. Uh, Our family, God has been with our family from the very beginning. When I was born, it was during the Cuban Missile Crisis. We were this close to going to war with Russia, nuclear war. There would have been nothing left. That close, 15 half hour. They say that it was a half hour, and we would have went to nuclear war. And back then, they communicated through a radio station. All right. Well, radio station in the United States sent a message to the radio station in Russia. They wrote it down and rushed it over to the Kremlin, but the elevator got stuck. So the elevator got stuck. He's handing the thing up to the third floor. I mean, my God, again, this close. They made a deal that they would take the nuclear missiles out of Turkey, that we would take our missiles out of Turkey, they take their missiles out of Cuba. The deal was that that end of the deal needed to be remains quiet. That we took our missiles out of Turkey needs to be remain quiet. That was part of the deal, so that made Kennedy look like the hero, which he was a hero anyway, but it made him look more of a hero. Okay, and they agreed, and it saved the world. So what's the deal? Here's my mother, my birth mother. Okay, pregnant, goes into labor, this close to nuclear war in the middle of the Cuban Missile Crisis. 3 days later, it was over. I was born on October 25th. It was basically over on the 28th. Can you imagine? Can you imagine what my birth mother must have went through? Okay, you're this close to nuclear war. You're pregnant. You have to put up your only son for adoption. And then after I was put up for adoption, who was there? God was there. Meanwhile, my mother and father, my mother had Crohn's disease and was very ill, and she had to go in for a series of operations the following year. Anybody, I bet you everybody around them was saying, why don't you wait till after the operations, Pat? Why don't you wait till after you're recovered? The whole world's coming to an end and you want to adopt right now? Why don't we wait till, why don't we just wait until after you come out of the hospital? And then who's going to take care of the baby if you're in the hospital for 4 months? I could just hear it. I'm willing to bet everybody around him said you need to wait. You should wait. Maybe it's wiser to wait. But what they knew and what God knew and what nobody else seemed to know was God was in control. His timing is always perfect because the timing of it. is where miracles are in the timing. Okay, I was born and then adopted 2 months later. The adoption went through Christmas. I was their Christmas present and they were mine. And Sonny was my Christmas present and I was his, except I got him in July, which is not a Christmas present unless you want to celebrate Christmas in July. Then you could say it was a Christmas present. Okay, that's ridiculous. So the deal is that's just the beginning. That one story would be enough to say God is with our family, but it goes far beyond that. Okay, when I was about 5 years, right before I don't know how old I was. Okay, maybe five, I guess. Yeah, maybe 4.5. I don't know. Before my fifth birthday, my mother said, "What do you want for your birthday?" I said, "A baby brother." Then what happened? It was physically impossible. My mother had a colostomy bag. She was on many medications. She drank and smoked. They said it would be physically impossible. The baby would either be born stillbirth or be severely mentally uh, challenged. Okay, we don't like to say that one word. Okay, so you could imagine, right? Everybody again, and she already had 3 miscarriages. So everybody probably, it's impossible, it's impossible. Yeah, well, you know what? With God, anything's impossible. My brother is living proof that God is with our family. All right. Then what happened? Then the way that we moved out to Arizona, God orchestrated it. Okay, because I never probably would have been a chaplain. I never would have, all the things that went down never would have happened. But God knew that He had to get us to Arizona. How did He do that? Only through hardship can come creation. Through a very difficult things, like what happened with my birth mother, only hardship can come creation. What happened with my mother having those operations, only hardship can come creation. What happened with my brother being born, only through hardship can come creation. And so on and so on. And then you fast forward to uh, March 16th, 1994, 316. My nephew just turned 30, and it just dawned on me that all this went down on 316 because God concealed it. God conceals things to the proper Moedim. Moedim means appointed time. I always thought his birthday was on the 15th. That's God the way He wanted it. Not until he's 30 years old do I realize that he was born on 316. God was with our family. My mother went to have a series of operations. My mother went in because she was losing weight. And 3 days later, she went into full respiratory failure because they didn't give her one of her medications she'd been on. So she had respiratory failure. They have to put a ventilator down her throat into her lungs. The trauma of that, you have to be put into an induced coma. By doing that, they over medicated her, causing her to have a slight stroke, heart attack, and renal failure over a period of time. Okay? So God was with our family. How do we know that? Because across town, my nephew Kevin was born premature, had to be air evac down to either John C. Lincoln or Children's Hospital. I can't remember which hospital. I think it was John C. Lincoln. I think. Okay. And what happened? They had to take pictures of him because they didn't think he was going to make it through the flight. Okay, so he gets air evac down to a different hospital, gets put on a ventilator the same day my mother's on a ventilator. You had grandmother and grandson on a ventilator the same day. Their mother was put into an induced coma because of complications due to childbirth. 3 different members of my family in 3 different hospitals on the same day. I was on probation, and my father was suffering with prostate cancer. Again, only through hardship can come creation because I would not be a chaplain today, or my brother, or his wife, unless all that happened to shape me and mold me into the man I am today. Why? Because God takes that which is evil and transforms it into good for His glory. He took a very difficult, hard thing and made it into something good for His glory. Again, God was with our family. You can't deny it. Then what? I was up all night. I had partied. I was up all night. I only had a few hours sleep, and I only had a vanilla shake for to eat. Okay, and I went down to my friend Gordon's down in Scottsdale, and his girlfriend started getting into it with him, and I got upset. Meanwhile, I'm driving westbound on the Buttes in my Camaro, an '86 Camaro, and I get to where they have sunrise mass every year, and there's a stone steps that's etched in the side of the mountain. And right when I got up to the top of the hill, right across from those steps, I started having heart pains, and I thought I was going to have a heart attack. And I started laying on the horn, and I thought I was pulling over to the right. Well, I didn't. I passed out. I had a seizure. I don't even have a seatbelt on. The car went up over the hill, and this is at 9 o'clock at night, goes down the hill, crosses the center line. Remember, I'm passed out. Okay. They were working on the road and there was a dirt berm on the side of the road. It caught that berm perfectly, went into a series of gullies, and then caught on a barbed wire post that thick, the corner of my car. Otherwise, it would have flipped over and went down into a ravine about 50 feet. Nobody would have found me. I would have been there for months, dead. The question is, who drove the car? Who was driving the car? There's only one way that could have went down, and it went down perfectly. I walked away without a scratch. Who drove the car? God Almighty drove the car. I believe that because there is no way that that could have happened and I not get hurt or killed. It's impossible. Okay. When I was about 10, 11 years old, I went to my grandmother's house in White Plains. My cousin John was rocking me back and forth like this on a recliner chair down at the playroom. I flew off the chair and hit my head, and I was blind. I could not see. My mother and father had went out to dinner with my aunt and uncle, and my grandmother was watching us, and she put me to bed, which was probably the worst thing you could do. I was blind. Okay. When I woke up a couple hours later, I could see again. I tell you, every time I pray to God, I thank Him. God, thank you, because I could have been blind for the rest of my life. Who was there? God was there. Again, God was there. Okay. I was involved in 3 home invasions, one of which, 4 armed men. I walked right into it. Guy put a gun to my head and walked me into the kitchen where my friend's uh, um, wife and brother-in-law were zip tied and on the floor, and they were pistol whipping my friend. And right when I got by the dining room table and he told me to get down on the floor, I felt a force of protection come around me like a force shield. I felt it. It was like it was like a force shield that came around me, and I got down on my like this, and you know, quite frankly, I'm if anybody's going to get killed, it's me. I'm the first one to go, and I walked away from that without a scratch. Why? Because God was there. The other 2 home invasions, I just had gotten to a friend's house down in Tucson, and he was robbed, and his bodyguard and his girlfriend, they were tied up and had duct tape on their mouth. They were in the closet, beat up and tied up. And me and my friend, we showed up at the house 15 minutes after the dudes left. They were waiting for people like me to show up. Why? Because God was there. The other time, I answered the door. I thought it was a friend of mine. I was at my friend Gordon's apartment, and I thought it was my friend Mackie. And I opened the door. This big guy comes in. Where's Paul? Where's Paul? And starts grabbing me. And my friend John was sitting on the couch. And I looked at him. I looked back. I go, Paul's not here. Paul's not here. You have it takes a second and how to react to these situations that could cost you your life. And I looked at John, and John knew. Okay, because I looked at him in a way that was like, don't say anything. And I looked back and said, Paul's not here. Well, where is he? Where is he? I said, I'll go get him. And I ran out. And as I ran out, he's like, hey, hey, hey. And he goes running out the door. And John jumps off the couch and slams the door. And I run over to the bowling alley and I call my friends. And within 5 minutes, there was 3 carloads of heavily armed uh, friends, heavily armed men, okay, to protect me. Why? God was there. The guy could have killed me. When I was in prison, nobody touched me. Not nobody. Okay, either God put people in my, either God changed their attitude, had them rolled up and removed from the facility, or God put people around me to protect me. Why? God was there. There's many, 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 many stories when God was there for our family, and He's here now. He's not going anywhere. We have to put our faith and trust in Him, and He's going to see us through this. He's going to see us through to the other side. Yes, there could be suffering and sadness, but we have to focus on Christ because He's our blessed hope. He's our hope, and He's our source of peace and love and calmness. He's our source of strength. Our strength is in the joy of the Lord. He's our source of wisdom. Ask God for wisdom on how to navigate through these difficult times. I have story after story after story. You know, I wrote the book Miracles at Kingman.com. That's my Miracles at Kingman. Yeah. Miracles at Kingman. Okay. See? You know the book. Okay. Pick it up and read it. All the miracles that are in here that happened firsthand that I witnessed. A whole book full. MiraclesatKingman.com. Go to my website, check it out. I'll put some videos down on the bottom there. You know, that's it. God has been with our family when my children were born. God has been with my family when I was in prison. God was with our family when I was put up for adoption. God was with our family when I was adopted. God was with our family when I went blind. God was in our family when I was doing Evil Knievel. Okay, and I went up over the ramp when I was 12 years old and flipped over and hit my face like right here. I was knocked out for about 4 hours in the hospital. This thumb still cracks. Okay. The doctor said if I hit my face head on like that, I would have been killed. What happened? God was there. God was there. God was there. God was there. God was. How many times has God got to be there before we realize that God is there? Okay. God is around us. He's with us. All we have to do is show him our love and just love the Lord, treat each other with love and kindness and respect, and be obedient to his word. And he's faithful to get us through the storms of life. And yes, like I said, yes, there's going to be sadness and suffering and difficult times, but God is there. He's been there. He always will remain there. He'll always be there for our family. And we just need to pull it together, ask for his guidance and direction and wisdom and love, and he'll get us through all of this. And that's what we need to do. So remember, Jesus loves you, and so do I.